The last video was about convergence. This video is about dominance and subordination. Dominance and subordination within a composition refers to having a subject or a mass of subjects that forms this large grouping, a large mass within your composition. And then alongside with that, you've got these lesser shapes. It could be a single shape or it could be several shapes that are subordinate, and there's just this very large size differential between them. Now, sometimes, especially with botanical art, you can exaggerate the size a little bit. You just don't want to go too far past what, the proportional size is between them two, but you can exaggerate them. You can also use distance because, as things get further back in space, things get smaller. So you can use distance as well. Generally, that's not used in botanical art and illustration, but it is an option. You also need to be thinking about, with balance and subordination, that the big mass can sometimes be the focal point, but a lot of times it's going to be that smaller thing, the smaller subject in juxtaposition to the large shape. Now with this one, we've got this very, very large pumpkin, and to a certain degree, your eye has a very, very difficult time getting away from it because it is a very large mass, and it could be considered to be the center of interest. But you've also got these small little seeds that are off to the side, and they pull your eye down to it. So you're kind of going back and forth between those two. This particular one would just be a simple lily. And for this, your flower is the dominant shape, and then subordinate to it is this one little stamen coming out of the flower. Here are two large fleshy mushroom, and then you've got what I don't know if they're technically called these, but one of those little fairy mushrooms that you find out in the woods. It's just this simple, delicate little shape. So for this particular one, I was playing with this large mass of these real fleshy mushrooms, and then the delicateness of this one particular mushroom. And this is where intent also comes in. For me, I'm intending to juxtaposition this mass against the delicateness and the smallness of the seeds when you compare how big these mushrooms get. And it is again right here. And for this one, I'm playing around with composites because we've got these giant, how enormous those giant sunflowers can get. And then just some smaller little yellow composites, like maybe Black-Eyed Susan, and just how small and delicate they are. The one thing I don't like about this composition, which I just noticed, is that it divides right down in the middle with some kind of an empty air, and it would have been better to get something that doesn't have this sharp divide between this half of the composition and this half of the composition. This one, I just like the shapes. I have no idea what this plant is, but I just thought it was kind of cool looking. So we're just making up a plant here. So this whole grouping, I'm looking at this as being something. This is how it has its babies. It has little seeds that maybe come off of here, and it has all these little babies down here running around, kind of like a chicken and a hen with, all the little chicks around. And then it's got this one little plant, one little baby, way off to the side. Now what works, this is playing with masses, but it's also playing with balance as well, because you've got this huge mass over here, but over here, this one teeny tiny little shape balances this composition. Now if I were to do this, you could see this is just fine by itself, but by adding this one additional little shape, it just adds a lot of interest to the particular composition.